Welcome back. We have only one slide left, which is on the last 5 weeks of the course. Well, the next 3 weeks, 10, 11, and 12, are on the labor market, which will be on labor force participation, occupational segregation, discrimination in the labor market, and specific examples of labor market policies. If you have taken labor economics, actually, we have covered this part, although here we will cover it in a more detailed way. And we will see different approaches in basically looking to them, each of these 3 things. Occupational segregation, if you don't know, it is just when male and female workers are basically in certain occupations you can see more male workers or male workers are dominant, while in other occupations female workers are dominant. For example, until recently, in the airlines, mostly the hostesses, the people who are looking after the needs of the travelers were mostly women, while construction workers were mostly men, for example. We will look to that case. We will look labor force participation of the woman. We will look discrimination in the labor market. This is different treatment of actually not. It can be applied to any different 2 groups. It might even be applied to people who are wearing a black T-shirt and white T-shirt. So different treatment of 2 different people, group of people, for the reasons that are not directly related to the productivity. And then we will see labor market policies here, certain examples and cases. This is an interesting, actually, one of the interesting weeks of the semester. The 13th week is also interesting, actually. Here we are trying to actually define poverty. Try to see different dimensions of poverty. Poverty is usually seen as the lack of necessary income level to meet needs of your family. Although even if you have income, for example, but one point is, of course, when we are talking on the family or household, we cannot look to specific people in the household, and to what extent poverty is affecting each of them, or how in a poor family, internal distribution mechanism, internal also distribution of household work is affected, is not covered, basically. But that's difficult because, once the income is taken by the family, there are no records on how family is distributing the income. And basically, in that sense, looking to the gender dimension of poverty is difficult because mostly people are living in women and men are living in pairs. So in this part, that we will see first different approaches people are trying to overcome this difficulty, and then among these approaches, especially interesting method is introducing a new kind of poverty, which is time poverty. Inability to have sufficient time to meet your basic needs, basically. And this time poverty issue is discussed in much more detail. Maybe I'm time poor because I'm just workaholic. In that case, maybe I'm not. That cannot be called poverty if that's my choice. Maybe I'm only time poor if I must work that long to be able to not be income poor, basically. Well, to what extent this approach is successful can be, of course, discussed. However, looking at different dimensions of poverty is, in my opinion, a very valuable thing. And here you will see especially that type of contribution. And in the 14th part, I said in part, case time, there's time left because sometimes, certain things happen that prevent last topic to be covered. In last semester, for example, there was COVID, and so I have dropped the 14th topic just to make the course a little bit more easier. But now I think unless something specific happens, we will cover this topic. It is gender dimensions of macroeconomic policies, how macroeconomic policies can be studied in gender, taking gender dimension into account, both in terms of how the gender dimension is affecting macroeconomic policies, and also how macroeconomic policies are affecting the gender relations, basically. All of them will be covered in 14th, and we will also see some specific examples of countries trying to use this this gender dimension of macroeconomics, try to find some measures to ways to measure the gender dimension of macroeconomic policies and design macroeconomic policies taking that dimension into account. So that's the course plan. As I said before, the next lecture will be on the feminist critique of economics. Well, I hope you will enjoy the course and all of you will have a good semester. And as always, I mean, whether you are listening to this at the time of pandemic or not, as always, I say stay healthy.